Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be the long awaited next episode of me reacting to your unpopular opinions. So without further ado, let's get started. It's been so long since we did one of these. I'm so sorry. I think I just forgot they existed as a thing. So I can only apologize, but thank you so much to all of you who sent in your unpopular opinions. As always, if you want to be in a future video of this nature or a Q&A or anything like that, typically I will always post a shout out on my Instagram stories when I'm ready, when one is due, and you can add yours into the box to have it featured in these videos. So thank you all for sending them all in. These are such fun to do, these videos, and please don't take offense. Please don't take anything in this video too seriously. It's all just in fun. It's all just in jest. It's just an opportunity for me to be silly and tease you all, essentially. And for you to tease me with these as well, because some of these, you're cheeky. So as always, I'm just going to do as many as possible until my camera gives up, whether it's battery or just the will to live. But I won't repeat any that we have done previously in previous videos. So if you did give an unpopular opinion and I didn't respond to it, it's probably just because it's a repeat of one that we have done in a previous one. I'm not just being mean and leaving you out. Lil Lou says, Victoria Beckham and Lisa Eldridge eye pencils are so overhyped. They smudge and dissolve. This is interesting. I don't think I've tried the Victoria Beckham ones, so I can't comment on those, but the Lisa Eldridge ones for me are bulletproof. They shock me. I can, use those in the waterline and look at my waterline, look at my eyes, my face in the mirror at the end of the day, and it's still like perfectly applied. But I have seen many people say this, so it just seems like it's unfortunately like a skin type thing, maybe depending on the environment you're in or how like watery your eyes are, maybe how like dry or oily your lids are, as to how these are going to work for you, which is such a shame because the Lisa Eldridge ones, I can attest, work incredibly well for me. They don't smudge or dissolve at all. So I think that's just, unfortunately, it's one of those where it clearly doesn't work for everybody. And I'm so sad because they work so well for me. Next up, Spa Shatata 10. We're going with. I think dewy skin enhances texture. In those 30 and up, we look like glossy orange peels. Speak for yourself. Dewy skin, for me personally, my age, my skin type, is by far the most flattering. It's much more flattering in real life as opposed to on camera than me doing matte base, for sure. I will also say that texture is not a 30 and up thing. It's not an age thing. Many teenagers, people in their 20s have the most texture because they may be dealing with acne prone skin and just hormonal breakouts. So textured skin is not like a given for people over 30, and smooth flawless skin is not a given for people under 30. I don't think that's an age thing. I do think it's massively a skin type thing. And if you have super textured skin and you're finding dewy makeup doesn't flatter it, of course, it's not working for you. But for me, glowier skin products are much more flattering than matte ones are, and that's just going to be down to your skin type and the product you're using, because they are not all equal. But someone with a very, very dry skin type using matte products would probably find that they enhance texture far more than something super hydrating and luminous. So it's just going to be completely down to your individual skin. Tanya says all long-lasting fragrances are screechy and sharp, and anyone who wears them in summer are a purple devil. I disagree. Long-lasting fragrances and beast mode fragrances are two different things. So what you're talking about, I think, are beast mode fragrances that have huge projection or sillage, which of course, by definition, they are loud because they're filling a big space. And I agree, they usually aren't summer friendly because as we have warmer body temperature, as the warm weather is heating up the fragrance on our skin, it's only going to become more powerful, more potent, stronger. You're only going to find it more intense for anyone who's around you. So I agree that most beast mode fragrances shouldn't be worn in warm weather or in summer. But long-lasting fragrances and beast mode fragrances are not necessarily the same thing. You can absolutely find skin scent fragrances, so that's fragrances that you can only smell by smelling literally your skin, can last for days, but they just don't perform out. You know, they don't have a large sillage, they don't have a big projection. So I disagree with the long-lasting fragrances being squeegee and sharp, because lots of really long-lasting fragrances can be very light, very airy florals, muskier, light, you know, real freshy scents can be very, very long-lasting, and they can be skin scents and not offensive at all. So I disagree, but I kind of get what you're saying as far as beast mode fragrances are just not warm weather appropriate. B Shop's Pink, how dare you? The Tom Ford Traceless Primer is rubbish. It's not, is it? Now, obviously you don't like it and it hasn't worked for you, and I'm so sorry about that, because that is my holy grail. But I can't allow this slander here, okay? I think I'm on my 5th one, and I pretty much use it every day. I'm forcing myself against my will to use a different one just to use it up at the moment, but I've used it today, and every time I use it, I'm like, why would I have to use a different one? It's so flattering on me. It's so smoothing. I can use it with foundations I don't even like, and it will make them look flawless. So I'll disagree, but I am really sad that it didn't work for you. I'm sorry. Glam by Sophie says, why is everyone attacking me today? I'm not a fan of the tucked in shirt in the front. Some people can wear that and it looks, I can't see the rest of that because it's overfilled the box, but I'm assuming you're saying that some people can pull it off, but it's just not for you. I love it, okay, I'm a millennial. I think it's now being called, it used to be a French tuck, now people are calling it the millennial tuck, which is really annoying, because I feel like when we started talking about a French tuck, Gen Z was saying to do it, and that tucking your whole shirt in was very millennial. Now they're telling us that the French tuck is very millennial. Make your mind up, okay? Allow us to do what we like, okay? We have very little left. I love a French tuck. I personally find it super flattering, but I guess it's one of those things maybe that depends on whether you're long-bodied or long-legged, because I am short of leg, long of bod. I've noticed my daughter she has the audacity of that girl. Her legs are the same length as mine. But I'm still hanging in there to being slightly taller than her by about 3 or 4 inches, but I'm all bod and very little leg, sadly. I kind of wish I was the other way around, but you know, maybe it's just the grass is always greener, I don't know. Mizza567 says, I don't like Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows. I have 4 of them. I'm hoping I just had a dodgy one, but I mean, it sounds like you've had a dodgy 4 if that's the case. Are you talking about the palettes? Are you talking about the liquid shimmer shadows? Or are you talking about the silk matte liquid shadows? I need to know this, because I don't know how the silk liquid, the matte shadows, could not work for anyone. Not everybody loves liquid shadows, the shimmery ones. They can crease depending on your eye area, how you use them, etc. And I can't fathom anyone not liking the palettes either. So please, we need to know more, okay? Obviously, I am obsessed with all of them, but I need to know more of what's going on here. This is a really interesting one from Meryl. First impressions are useless. This is one that I see a lot. You're not alone. I think this is a lot of people agree with you. And I get where you're coming from, but allow me to present the other side of the argument. I think, of course, let's say a foundation, let's choose a foundation. Of course, a 3-week-long testing out of a foundation where you wear it every single day in different environments, in different weather, different other products, primers, different products on top, and you film that whole thing. Of course, I would agree that is going to add more value than just a first impression of that same foundation. But I don't agree that first impressions are useless, and hear me out. Here's for why. Me personally, for the most part, I want to try things myself, because any review I watch of a foundation, for example, just because somebody else doesn't like it, it didn't work for them. In no way does that mean it's not going to work for me, because we're all so different, different age, different other products we're using, different environments. Someone living in Florida, in Vegas, their makeup is going to have different requirements to me living in England, okay? I don't need my makeup to live up to that level of heat that someone in a much hotter climate would. I don't need my makeup to withhold to the same level as someone who's living in a very, very cold or very bitter or extreme environment. I'm going to have different requirements. My skin type is going to be very, very different, my age, etc. So I don't necessarily watch a review and that's going to be the deciding factor as to whether I purchase that product. I still probably want to try it out for myself. What I watch foundation reviews for are shade matching, things like that, information. I want to see what coverage it can achieve. I want to see things like that. That's what helps me choose my shade, helps me choose my foundation, whether it's going to be good for me with the ingredients, whether it's going to have SPF in it, how it applies, what it works with. Did it work with that primer? Did it not work with that primer? Is there anything else I need to know, like fragrance? How many shades are there? What are the undertones? I watch a lot of my Shade Twins foundation videos solely just to match my shade. So first impressions can help us choose our shade. They can help us learn about the foundation, especially if it's one that could be before the foundation's even available from a creator who's received PR. We can learn about the component. Is the pump useless? Is it quite good? How much comes out? How much do we need? What is the price? How does it compare to other foundations? What is the texture? All of that information, ingredients, etc., you can learn from a first impressions. So I don't think they're useless, but I do understand that a more comprehensive, longer term review is more helpful for most people. But that's why I do both. So I tend to do both because I know a lot of people literally just want to know what shade I use and how it looks shade wise on me because they're a shade twin. And you can get that from my first impression, and you want that as soon as possible. You don't want to wait 3 weeks when you can't pick up your shade for me to do my video. So I tend to do a first impressions for those people just looking for the information and the shade and some comparisons. And then I will give you the full tea over a longer period of time in my monthly roundup typically. So I like to do both. I think both have their place for that reason. Snow is Fab says, I hate double-ended brushes, do you? Yes, I do hate them because I keep all my brushes in my Sonia G brush holder and I don't want any bristles on the floor. I hate them, I agree. Annoying. Giga12 said, anything by Skin Rocks. So I did ask for a bit more information on this opinion because I was like, what, you love it, you hate it? The face tells me, implies that you don't like it. So what they said is that basically you find it overpriced, not worth the money, and that it's basically only doing well because Caroline Hirons being the founder is what's sort of driving the brand. And also a really specific example that's really helpful for me to understand was that they said that the Clinique cleansing balm, for example, is like half the price and you find it to be just as good. So here's the thing, I love Skin Rocks. The only product I haven't really loved from them is the vitamin C serum, which irritated my skin, which is really annoying because I wanted to love it. But everything else from the brand I've really enjoyed. There is a vast packaging difference between Clinique and Skin Rocks. Skin Rocks do very high level refillable packaging that is definitely of far higher quality than Clinique's. I would also look not just at, you know, how comparable you feel like the results are, but actually when it comes to skincare, what are the ingredients? Because I agree that the reason Skin Rocks is so popular is because of it's Caroline Hirons' brand, but that's not because like it's not like it's Selena Gomez's brand and she's a very famous person. It's because Caroline is like the authority on effective skincare and ingredients. And so therefore you can trust it. You know her products are going to do what they say, do what they claim to do, not do anything unnecessary and not be ridiculously overpriced because she's just using the best of the best ingredients to get the most effective products. And I really trust her on that. Obviously for most people, especially when it comes to something like a cleansing balm, where you're not necessarily, it's not like an active ingredients product. You can for sure find cheaper ones that will get your makeup off and do the job. But when it comes to her more active things like her moisturizers, her serums, her retinol, for example, you can bet that that is like the most effective product that you can get for that price point. I feel like I could really trust Caroline and her brand, but that's personal preference. I Am Angela says Charlotte Tilbury makeup brushes are definitely overrated. I'm not a huge Charlotte Tilbury makeup brush person. I've only got a couple, I think, and I don't mind them. I don't hate them. I don't love them. I just think they're like okay. So I probably tend to agree. I also don't necessarily think Charlotte Tilbury is a brand that's kind of known for like the best makeup brushes. I think they're decent. They do what they say on the tin, and they typically work really well with her products that they're designed to work with. But I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to like spend a lot of money on Charlotte Tilbury makeup brushes, because I tend to agree that there are better brands for brushes out there. Christina says, it seems that many beauty creators, not you, are reducing the amount of videos. This is really interesting. I probably agree that I do see that quite a bit. I think, especially if we're talking about creators that you have maybe followed for quite a long time, I think that's a bit of probably a mixture of things going on. I expect it's a bit of survival technique. I've been on YouTube now for 8 years, doing 3 videos at least a week for the majority of that time. I think when I started off, I was still working part-time, so maybe I started off with 1 or 2 a week, but for at least, like I'd say 6 years now, I've been doing 3 or more videos a week, every week, for the most part, beauty makeup reviews. I feel like in order to do that for any longer, like you've probably noticed for me, I've really branched out and expanded the genre and the topics I cover and the type of videos I do, because it's not sustainable for me. For some people, you can do review every day, maybe for forever, but I will burn out, and I have got burnout from doing that. I feel like uninspired. I feel like I'm maybe bored or just sick of doing makeup reviews. By branching out and doing videos like this, doing, you know, topical videos, my makeup and movies videos, talking about film, just really helps me stay in like the fun, enjoying, inspired place in YouTube, rather than feeling like it's dragging or that I can't be bothered to talk about makeup today. I have, you know, other things that I will do in videos that I'll talk about, but I think it's hard to keep going for years and years with that frequency of videos all on the same topic. So I think for some people, cutting down on the number of videos is like a necessity to stay motivated, to stay inspired and creative, and that's maybe why. But also, typically as people grow, you get busier. You know, as creators grow and they get a much bigger following, they get more opportunities, they get invited to events, they have more collaborations and maybe even start their own brand, and so then it starts to become hard to have the time to upload as often as they may be used to, which is a real shame and really sad for their audiences. But also I think a lot of creators, you know, new platforms are coming along all the time, and perhaps we're spreading ourselves a bit too thinly, which is why I flatly refuse to like make an effort with TikTok, because I don't have it in me to start another platform and to really focus on it. For me, YouTube will always be my focus because it's my favorite. But I do see that, and I think for those creators who've been going as long or even longer than me, it's almost like you need to do less videos in order to just keep going and keep enjoying it, because it can start to feel like any job. You know, this is the second longest I've ever been in a job. And most jobs after 2 or 3 years, I've like got bored and wanted to get a new one. And we're 8 years in now and I'm not getting bored yet. And I think it's because I've branched out with my content a little, just to mix it up and keep it fun and fresh for me. But if you don't do that, I feel like you're going to burn out eventually. Mira's Makeup Closet says skinny is back. Not for me. I admire CrossFit athletes, well, any athlete. Building muscle is harder than, I'm assuming, being skinny. So I guess that depends on you. You know, some people find it very hard to build muscle and to increase their weight. Other people find it very, very, very hard to lose weight and tone up, and it just really depends on you. I do agree that skinny is back, and I think that's partially down to the arrival or the popularization of GLP-1s, because for so many people who, you know, losing weight beyond a certain point was just not possible, it just couldn't, it was just too hard, couldn't do it, now have an option to really help them get there. But what I'm noticing is, you know, I feel like for the average person using a GLP-1, it's someone who is maybe overweight and wanting to lose weight for their health. Whereas celebrities who were already a very healthy and probably quite a low weight are commonly now using GLP-1s to become like a size 0. We see with the Kardashians, who previously were a very visible, right, however you feel about them, they were a very visible group of people who had curvier figures. Were they like, you know, curvy? Not necessarily. I mean, they had curves as in huge breasts, tiny waists, big bazooka bottoms, curves, you see what I'm saying, but they weren't, you know, sort of an average size or weight for a woman. They were still small people, but they did have curves. They were bigger. All of them now are losing a lot of weight, even though they were slim before, probably down to using GLP-1s, who really knows. But that is, you know, a big group of people in the public eye constantly who are representing a bit more of a curvier figure, whereas now they've, you know, very much losing their curves. A lot of them seem to have had their bottoms downsized, and so now are really feeding into that tiny, skinny, minuscule, very Hollywood typical figure, and that seems to be how the trend is moving. Again, someone like Meghan Trainor, who is a real representation of a curvier figure, again has admitted to using Ozempic and is now, you know, becoming skinnier and skinnier by the day. So I agree. I do think it is becoming like the trend to be as skinny as possible again, which is really sad, because nothing wrong with being a slimmer, skinnier, lighter person. For a lot of people, like I said, it's really hard to put on weight, and it is absolutely natural for a lot of people to be skinny. But this sort of perpetuation that everybody can and should be a size 2, 4, 6 is scary, because obviously the less representation people have and see themselves in people in the public eye, the less and less we have of curvier bodies and just different bodies. Everybody looking the exact same is a terrible thing, especially for young people, young girls, to see every single person in the public eye being completely stick thin can be very damaging, as we know. So I think that's really, really sad. But these things go in cycles. So, you know, maybe the Kardashians are going to have to get their butts put back very, very soon. Lava Yuki says, bronzer is an extra and unnecessary step. I'm Asian, so fairly tanned and feel no need. Honestly, you don't have to use bronzer. You don't have to use anything. Lots of people don't like blush. I don't know why, but it's true. I've heard them say it. Lots of people don't like highlighter, etc. So, you know, if steps doesn't serve you, you don't have to do it whatsoever. I love bronzer. I love bronzer whether I'm more tanned or whether I'm fairer in the winter. I love it. And I see a lot of people with really beautiful, rich, deep skin tones who love bronzing, and it just really sculpts and shapes the face rather than being, you know, a sort of more flat colour. So I think it's gorgeous. I love a good bronzer, but we don't all have to do all of the steps. We just do the ones that we enjoy and that serve us. Sabrina says, clean girl makeup era was a snooze fest. I understand it. I feel like I can have a clean girl day or two in the week and really get on board with it. And I can't deny Hailey Bieber, the queen of clean girl, looks stunning all of the time. But I tend to agree. I feel day in, day out, I want more. I want to see blush. I want bright lips. I want a lot of mascara. So I don't think it's necessarily for me a lot of the time, but the odd day here and there, I can get on board with it. Crystal Bourgeois says, as a teacher, I have many. A big one, education starts at home. I don't think that should be an unpopular opinion. I think that's just a fact. for a start, children are at home for at least 4 years here before they start school. So if you haven't, you know, taught your child anything for 4 years, there's things have gone wrong. We've got problems. But I absolutely agree. I feel like everything, particularly who they are as people, is vital that is, you know, a constant effort and a real proactive one. I think it's so important to have conversations about world events, about behaviors, about choices, about different people, different countries and cultures, and respect of everything, because that is really not taught at school. That is something that's really missing in schools here, at least, that sort of extra stuff. Also just life management, things like running a bank account, paying bills, cooking, cleaning, managing a lifestyle, using a dishwasher, using the washing machine. All of these are things that I used to work with my athletes on. The amount of athletes that would come into a world-class program and for the first time be living on their own, who couldn't cook a single meal, didn't know how to, you know, pay a bill, couldn't manage their money well, and didn't know how to use things like washing machines or ovens. I can't tell you how many young girls would come to me with that level of life functionality, and it's really, really common. I think it's so important that we teach our children these things at home, because they aren't taught at school, and I don't know who else we think is going to do it for us, and that's not a teacher's job. Like, they have enough to do. They also shouldn't be changing nappies, I don't think, either, which I know has become a huge thing, particularly with, well, hopefully only with reception children. Teachers having to change nappies is just wild to me. That should not be happening. Satayado says, makeup is not inspiring anymore. Every new product is the same as everything we already have. It's hard, isn't it? Because there's only so much like new and different there can be. Like, how many other colours of eyeshadow palette can there be? There are only so many colours. I know they've found a new one recently, but apparently we can't see it, so I don't know what the point was. But I understand. I still find makeup exciting, which is, thank goodness, because otherwise what would I do? You know, I still find makeup exciting. Not as much, you know, it used to be where every release was exciting and new and something I didn't have and something I desperately wanted. Now I think it takes more to get my heart palpitating, but I do still find makeup exciting, and I know it's really sad. Maybe it's time to take a break, because for so many of us it's our like joy and our hobby and our passion, and it's really sad if we lose that. So maybe it's good to take a bit of a break, maybe not watch so much beauty content, obviously still watch mine, but maybe take a bit of a break at looking at makeup, and come back in a few months and see if it can reignite your joy for it, because it's so sad when we lose our passion for something that previously gave us so much joy, and it could just be burnout, so hopefully it's temporary. Holly Dragazzi says, I don't like eyeshadow under the lower lash line. I can get on board with this. I go back and forth on this. I don't always do eyeshadow under the lower lash line. It can really hide fine lines under there, I'll say that for it, but I don't always love it. So I haven't got any under my lower lash line today, and I can, yeah, I sometimes like it and sometimes don't. I go back and forth, so I can understand it. Liv Les Garcia says, I don't get the hype around Hollywood Flawless filter and similars. I can kind of understand where you're coming from. I love the Hollywood Flawless filter when I can be bothered to use it, but I am lazy, and if I can skip a step, then I often do. So it's not like a product I can't live without, or one that I have to use every single day, but I also, at the same time, when I do use it, I quite like it. So it's not life-changing to me, but I can get on board with it. MK Bernie says, to me it is so interesting that YouTubers suggest skincare, but their skin doesn't improve. Here's the thing, how do we know that their skin hasn't improved? Because, you know, what we see on camera can be misleading. You know that old, the camera never lies. The camera is full of lies. It's a pack of lies. And I have spent years trying to get my camera to show colour and texture and everything just as accurately as my eyeballs do, and they don't. They will never. And although my camera is like the best of the best camera as far as like sharpness and everything like that, YouTube and particularly Instagram and TikTok will not allow you to upload at full resolution. Like, they compress your files, so you don't get the full quality that my camera is capable of making. In like, you don't get to watch it because YouTube squashes it and ruins it, which is very, very annoying. So it could very well be that creators who are using skincare and really enjoying it and saying that it's made a difference to their skin, that you may not be able to see that difference, but them looking in the mirror, they can see a difference. So I don't think we necessarily can say whether someone, you know, skin is improving when only they can see it and feel the texture of it and see the difference themselves. We're always going to be able to see more of a difference ourselves with on our own face than what you maybe can see on camera in a video. So I think we can't necessarily say that it hasn't improved, but it also is so dependent on the starting point. Like I often say, I refuse to do pretty much any skincare sponsored video, because how am I going to do that? I don't mean to sound like boastful, but my skin is in a really good place. I'm so lucky with my skin. I've literally had brands asked to send me like pimple patches and like acne skincare, and I'm like, I don't have acne. And so why would I, you know, accept skincare for an issue that I don't have? And I can't, how am I going to say this works or it doesn't work when I don't have acne? And if I'm to use something like a retinol, I'm going to be able to tell if that's what that's doing to my skin, but there's just no physical way I'm going to be able to show you the before and after, because I've always used retinol for quite a long time. So me changing my retinol, it's going to be a very subtle difference. And the difference might be about more so the feel of my skin, what I can feel and see myself, that isn't going to have this dramatic before and after. So skincare is really hard on camera to show improvements, particularly if you've started off from a really good place with your skincare and your skin. How are you going to show before and after? Because there isn't going to be a dramatic difference. So it's a tricky one. Viola's 86 says that full coverage makeup looks too heavy on most people except for theatrical purposes. I think the thing is about super full coverage makeup is, you know, it is intended or designed in lots of purposes and lots of cases to be like stage, theatre, film makeup. And you'll really notice this, say somewhere like the Met Ball, the Met Gala, red carpet photos, you see the ones that are edited and makeup looks phenomenal. And then you have a look at the Getty images, which are raw, unfiltered, and you can see so much skin texture, but under a flash light, it's going to look stunning and flawless. But then in the hard, brutal light of your rear view mirror in daylight, with no extra help, it's going to look very different. So I do agree, a lot of the time, super uber stage makeup, full coverage, in person, in natural daylight, is probably going to look really heavy and just really unnatural and cakey. But some people can pull it off, and on camera it's a different story. Jodie Gorazia says Tom Ford is not worth the price tag. Sorry. Don't be sorry. I don't work there. I don't know. I've never met him. So don't apologize to me. I'm not offended. It's worth the price tag to me. Some of it, not all of it, not the cheek products, not the eyeshadows, but the foundation, as expensive and ludicrous as it is, and the primers are worth it to me because they're my holy grails. But worth it to me is so subjective. It's never going to be worth it to the next person or the person after that, as someone else might think it's a massive bargain. So it's just so subjective. But do not spend money on things that aren't really worth it and give you joy and that you really get enjoyment out of and that feel worth it to you. To me, I treat myself with Tom Ford foundations and primers, and it's worth every penny to me, always with a discount, at least 20%. But of course it's not going to be worth it to everybody, and that is not something to apologise for. Take it back. Take your apology back, okay? You do you. Christina Malini says there are too many lip oils and lip glosses that don't show true colour on the lips, just glow. I understand you. I want colour as well from glosses. Typically, I'll have one clear one, sure, but I want colour on my lips. Otherwise, why bother? Just put a lip balm on, you know? Emma Witherington says, people wear sunglasses on their head at night. Drives me mad. You look so silly. Why are people doing that? Have they forgotten? Did they leave the house when the sun was up and then they've put them on their head when the sun has gone down? maybe that's what's happened. I can totally see that. I sometimes wear my sunglasses to my boyfriend. I sometimes wear my sunglasses to my son. I don't have a boyfriend, okay? Don't tell my husband I said that. I sometimes wear my sunglasses to my son's football game out in the broad sunlight, and then I'll go to my daughter's dance studio, which is indoors, and I'm not putting my sunglasses in my handbag. So they will go on my head, and maybe I look silly then. I don't know. What are we talking about? Is this like a look that people are going to the clubs in? I haven't seen that, but then I don't go outside, so. Also from Emma, adenola and proper cult trends are obnoxious and look silly. What is that? I have to Google that. Oh, it's a brand, adenola. It's like a gym leisure wear. I didn't know there was a cult. I didn't even know that was a brand, so I don't know what to tell you. Lover of the Divine says the Westman Atelier Duo shades are boring and overpriced. I feel your pain. I think the shades are boring. I wish they were more exciting. I wish the blushes were glowy instead of matte, but I did buy like the most boring shade and I actually love it, but I am boring. So, you know, that makes sense. Paige says, McDonald's hash browns are truly awful. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had one. I think I probably ate some McDonald's hash browns like maybe in my 20s. I think that probably would have been the last time. But I will say I wouldn't trust them with a hash brown. Okay? Like hash browns should be from a farm shop, a pub perhaps, Premier Inn breakfast. Anyone? Steph says, I don't need a pedicure to enjoy summer. Me neither. In fact, I have a dark, deep secret to tell you guys. Don't tell the others, okay? It's between me and you only. I have never and will never have a pedicure. I cannot stand toes. I can't stand toes, feet as well. But the thought of someone touching my toes, a stranger, I can't think of anything worse. That will never happen. Okay, I literally would have to be sick in my shoe. There's not a chance a random person is touching my toes. I barely want to touch them myself. So I'm right there with you. I'll do my own pedicure. I'll paint my own toesies so they're not, you know, just naked flapping about in the wind, but I'm not having anyone else do it. Absolutely never. Bron, I thought we were friends. Probably a bit late for this. I don't like Sonia G brushes. My flabbers are ghasted, Bron. What do you mean? How can this be? Jar Bennett detests lip liner. It's gross. Gross. Grossy Josie. Tell me more. I need to know what it's done to you. Are you eating it? Is that where you've gone wrong? Karen Dorman says, White Lotus is overhyped. Right, you guys tell me because I have never watched it. I haven't seen a single episode, but it's one of those things that everybody's been talking about and I've got FOMO. But now you're telling me it's not that good? Should I start? I've already got Handmaid's Tale on the go. By the way, outrageous that we've had 3 episodes or something here, and apparently in the US you're on episode 9, so no spoilers. I've also got The Last of Us on the go, but there's only one left of those. Should I get involved in the White Lotus? Vote down below. Classic TV and Coffee says, Dior, Chanel, Charlotte Tilbury, Nars, etc. are not luxury brands. I fear we're going to disagree. If you're sold at Ulta, you're mid and not luxury. I don't know what Ulta is, okay? We don't have that here, so I can't comment on that bit of this slanderous statement. But what I will say is here in the UK, stockist has no bearing on whether you're a luxury brand or not. I'd say Nars, I would agree, I think Nars is mid-range, and I would even suggest Charlotte Tilbury is like on the border mid to luxury. And for me, luxury brand, it's more so about the aesthetic and the price point and the brand itself. So Dior, Chanel, Gucci, those luxury fashion houses are without question luxury brands, in my opinion. What I will say is that here in the UK, our like main drugstore, like the equivalent of American drugstore shop, is Boots. And Boots have always been stockists of Chanel and Dior and many other luxury brands, and those have been like almost their sort of flagship brands, that they have counters in the stores, and that is like our literal, they sell meal deals in the corner boots. Okay, they sell meal deals, they sell Makeup Revolution, the cheapest, most affordable products and brands next door to the most expensive luxurious brands. So here, like where you're stocked is not a thing. Also Selfridges, you know, which is a huge luxury department store that sells very, very expensive high-end luxury brands, also stock Morphe. So here, that's not a thing. Where you're stocked does not influence whether, you know, where you're rated as far as the level of your brand. But I don't know if that's different in the US, but here, that's not a thing. Trish McAvoy makeup reminds me of drugstore makeup and not luxury. I haven't tried, have I? I don't think I've tried anything from the brand, but you're making me think I shouldn't. Should I? Is this, what do you guys think? Is this a popular opinion or an unpopular opinion? Heya Joe says Armani Luminous Silk Foundation is so average. I agree. I agree, and I sadly agree, because I've tried to like force myself onto this foundation several times throughout my life, because I just so many people rave about it. I think what it is, it's a makeup artist's dream foundation. I think what I see a lot is makeup artists who work on, you know, red carpets, on fashion, on, you know, in runway, what is the word? Catwalk runway shows, fashion, magazines, those sorts of things. That is who I see rave about this foundation, which obviously is a different, you know, how something looks on camera is not, I mean, it should be my concern because I'm on camera a lot of the time, but I don't care. I only care about how I look in real life, in person. There's really never a consideration for me as to how I look on camera, as opposed to how I look in real life. So maybe that's why I don't love it so much. And I feel like it's called Luminous Silk. This should be my holy grail, but I agree. It's just, I'm always underwhelmed by it. I think it's nice. It covers nicely. It wears well. It looks quite natural, but I find it underwhelming too. I don't get it. Elle says, I think we will look back and be a little embarrassed by the forehead bronzing. Are people bronzing their entire forehead, or are we talking about like the perimeter, like the edges of your forehead? Because if that's what we're talking about, I have to disagree, because I've been doing that since I was about 13 and it hasn't happened yet. Latia Babu says something outrageous. Eurovision is overrated. I beg your finest pardon. No, it's not. In fact, if anything, it's underrated. It can only be rated more by the day. Now, I don't want to tell you you're wrong, because obviously you're entitled to your wrong opinion. But of course, not everything is for everybody. And if you hate fun, then of course Eurovision is not going to be for you. Eurovision is literally one of the highlights of the year for me, and it has been for many years, and it's only becoming even more fun because now my children are so into it. Like, we have a full-on party, we get dressed, we have flags for our chosen countries, we split them up, we choose our favourite songs, and it is so much fun. We are all up dancing, laughing till we're crying. It's such fun. But if you don't find it fun, you're doing it wrong. That's I can only, what's not to like? What's not to like? 26 different countries with their most bonkers person they could find singing a song, preferably about a food item, a sausage, a sauna this year. Something last year we had like a rave song about the cha-cha-cha. Okay, where else can you see this type of entertainment? It's hilarious. It's not to be taken seriously, obviously. Just the staging this year is something that really caught my eye, because the staging they're like a full-blown show. Every one of these 26 performances is a whole show with insane stuff going on. Fireworks, fire, lasers, stages flying through the air, costumes, everything you can possibly imagine. They do 26 of them in a live show with like a minute between each performance and a completely different set every time. Just that. I mean, how can you not be entertained? Hello, Charlotte speaking.
Hi Charlotte, it's Kim.
Hi.
With school, hello. Grace has just had a bit of a scrape on his knee on the playground.
Oh.
It's quite a deep scrape.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if you just want to come over and have a quick.
Shall I? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will do. All right.
A
Yeah.
bit of a wash with some saline.
Okay.
Probably got grit in there. I don't want to.
Yeah. No, I'll come over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's waiting in reception anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. My son's fell over in the playground and I've got to go and mop up his knee. But to be honest, we were coming to the end of this list of unpopular opinions, so it's fine. I'm so sad. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.